News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Alan Gilbreth with DarkOakMedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian. And yes, while we're celebrating Memorial Day this weekend, I want to give a salute to the humble turtle on this belated World Turtle Day.
Yes!
The humble turtle. Okay, talk to me, Max. What day were we celebrating?
23rd.
This? The 23rd of okay. Well, Alan, we already know how you celebrated this day. I mean,
you know what? All of my turtles got extra portions. Everybody got a little fresh dog food. So, yes, I have a lovely collection.
It's called fattening them up before the slaughter.
No.
So.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to be like, what's the difference between I was going to ask Alan, what's the difference between a turtle and a tortoise? It's like, not much. They both taste about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
One needs more tenderizing.
Yeah,
so.
a tortoise is definitely a lot drier.
Well, happy World Turtle Day. That's a good one, Max. We appreciate that. So, well, you can call or text us on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989 if you want to weigh in and let us know how you celebrated World Turtle Day.
To be fair, turtles are slow, so it's it's appropriate that it's belated.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
Memo just got here. There you go. Boom.
Also, Alan, it behooves them to get over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page because, among other, well, I've already made 4 posts, and they're already getting a reaction, Alan. This is going to be good. So we've got quite a bit to discuss today. Okay, as Max indicated, it is Memorial Day weekend, and we hope everybody's celebrating appropriately.
And safely.
Big salute to all of our veterans out there. But in honor of that, Alan, for our great moments in building history, we're going to be celebrating the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., which has a lot of, not only is it a great memorial, it's got a lot of interesting construction features and a lot of thought went into to every detail in that monument. And I know, Max, that's right in your wheelhouse.
I'm like a history nut.
You're a history guy with that. So
military history in particular.
Exactly. So, and Alan, okay, in honor of that as well, this is going to be one thing about our veterans. One thing, if you're in the military, you wear many hats. Is that now? I wasn't in the military. You weren't in the military, were you? Of course, our families were.
Yeah, family wasn't all that. I've taught a few military classes, but not actually a member. No.
Okay, Lord of the Rings battle techniques don't count as a military class, Alan. But
okay.
But anyway, in honor of that,
apologies to the Society for Creative Anachronism.
Exactly. So, but Alan, veterans have to do a lot of things, and among them is a lot of guys learn construction techniques in the military. A lot of men and women.
Yes.
And so, if you're a veteran or if you know somebody, there you go, Max. That was in the military that had an interesting construction project that they had to deal with. Maybe they were out in the field somewhere and they had to overcome some whatever. We'd like to hear about a military construction project.
Give
or
us a
maybe
call.
you know of a famous one. Give us a call or a text on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. Especially if you got pictures, get in touch with us at 901-683-0989. Although now that I think of it, Alan, some of the pictures may be classified, so maybe they can't. But
not at this point.
Okay,
no.
So give us a call with that. Alan, this is we've got a lot. We got our must-have item of the week. In a minute, we're going to get to a Tool Tales that I'm calling this a tool tale, but it's
I can't wait.
Yeah, this one's going to be good. I'm not going to. And then this one's going to be a lot of fun, Alan, on Historically Terrible today.
Oh, yes.
This one, I feel, is going to get us a lot of traction as well. I don't know where the discussion is going to lead because we're calling this Historically Terrible, although a lot of good things also came out of this, and that is early 20th century playground equipment.
Oh, yeah.
And we posted a good example of that up on our Facebook page.
That's all I'm going to say is, ladies and gentlemen, we want your calls. We want the stories.
Yeah.
We want to know if you're in our age group and above, you played on this stuff, you've got a story.
How many limbs have you broken?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How much asbestos did you breathe in? How much, but Alan, we were on sort of the tail end of that. I will say, my kids grew up with super safe playground equipment, and part of me kind of regrets it a little bit. They missed out on what it's like to take your life into your hands at the playground. So
my gosh.
we have a lot more that I'm not going to tease because, as we know, Alan, we know what'll happen with that. So let's jump into it and let's get to our first topic, Alan.
And now, Tool Tales with Tool Talk Radio.
For lack of a better term, we're calling this Tool Tales. But Alan, I'm gonna for my tale, we're gonna call this Pallet Snobs, or a tale of two pallets.
No, I'm ready. Let's go.
This one,
pallets are a big topic for me.
Oh, it's low hanging fruit. If you want to get Alan talking, just talk about pallets, and he'll. So, Alan, okay, with the work that I do, occasionally I get pallets. Every couple weeks, I have pallets. Now, I'm really lucky because I live on a pretty busy street. And honestly, if I put something out at the street, if we put an old washing machine or if we put something,
it's gone.
It's gone literally in 20 minutes. I mean, I have no problem with disposing of unwanted items. So I had two pallets, and I have to say, Alan, these two pallets were in particularly good condition. You've seen some are better than others. So
some have been around the block about 12 times, and others are freshly, beautifully minted.
Oh yeah,
happy, and you get the good stuff.
Well, not
you really do.
I've had both, but these were obviously probably on the newer side of pallets. So, but Alan, so here's what was interesting. So I had two pallets. Now, one pallet had folks, I'm sure you know what a pallet looks like. The strips across the top on one of them were the 3.5-inch strips.
Right.
I might even say they were oak. I don't know. They were. It was a pretty nice pallet. The other one had like 2-inch strips across the top. Well, I go to work, whatever. I get up the next morning and the 3.5-inch one is gone, which didn't surprise me because, like I said, I put up but the other one was still out there. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Well, 2 days later, the other one, the 2-inch strip one is still there. However, I came home yesterday, Alan, and the 2-inch strip pallet was flipped on its back as though somebody was inspecting the pallet and it didn't meet their criteria or whatever, and they left it. And I'm like, okay, well, Alan, this, for one thing, it's weird that it didn't disappear immediately because that's what I'm used to. But what's the bias against the 2-inch strip pallet? That's what I guess I'm wondering because nobody wanted it. I mean, I thought that was very odd. So,
well, maybe it has to do with the thickness of the wood or the width of the wood.
Well, it does, but it's still a pretty hefty pallet, and I actually think it looks better because there's bigger gaps. So if you were going to build something, I don't know. What's your thought? Because this is your bread and butter, Alan. You're a pallet man. So,
well, let's face it. Every job site I'm on, within 5 minutes, maybe 10, there is a pallet table. And I mean, honestly, it is a pallet, some screws, and 4 pieces of 2x4.
Yeah.
It's usually rated off of the pallet that fell apart.
Right.
So, the infamous pallet table is profoundly useful. Now, I will say the big wide gaps, not so great for the pallet table.
Well, if you want to put your iced tea down, it's going to be, yeah.
Right. And
so wait, your pallet tables are, boom, you just stick it right there and you're done? You don't put anything on top of it? Or?
I'm on job sites, and generally you just need some place to put stuff or hammer on something.
You're throwing this on a couple of sawhorses and going to town.
Sawhorses, man. You're high end.
Okay.
I will take 3 pallets and make a pie symbol out of it.
Right.
Bam. There you go. You got a table.
Yeah.
Of a few screws, and the one thing I've discovered, and this is, I have one ongoing job site. It's been going on for about a year. And honestly, everybody's favorite table is the pallet table we made a year ago. It has been painted, pounded, sanded. It has been every
occupation
on the job site has taken place on the pallet table.
Oh, yeah.
So now the next thing that happens is where we're going to call it fun with pallets.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where you make Christmas trees, you make cute yard art. So
I'm waiting for someone to make a cosplay out of pallets.
Oh, it's
Pallet
been
man.
done. Oh,
Yeah.
it's been
Pallet
done.
man.
Oh, it's been done. And, basically, if you think of the pallet as just source material, there is at least 2 2x4s in it.
Usually,
at
yeah.
least 2, sometimes bigger, depending upon the weight it was designed to handle.
Oh, yeah.
Of if you're anywhere near a medical facility, that's when you can get the really high-end pallets.
Oh, I didn't know that. There are people camping out at the back of the hospital.
Oh my
there
gosh, it's like vultures circling sometimes.
Is this like people who hunt for yard sales? There's like pallet hunters.
Yes.
I believe it. So, all
Well,
right.
you get some of these very expensive pieces of equipment getting delivered, and they get delivered on really nice pallets.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. Well, what happened, Ellen, is so I'm telling my wife about this. I said, I think this needs to be brought up on the show. 'Cause
Oh, yeah, there's some
far be
pallet
it for
snobbery.
me to, right. And I'm like, what is the bias against the 2-inch strip pallets? And then so she pulls up this website that's got all these hacks on it, pallet hacks, and which I've linked and I've posted on our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, by the way. And then we started looking at it, and then I start feeling guilty about throwing this pallet out. I'm like, you know what? This is because it's a really good one. It's a
nice
better than
pallet,
ever. So
yeah.
I pulled it back in the garage, and we're gonna make what we voted on was you basically screw it to the wall, and it's a perfect place to hold your rakes and shovels and I mean, it's like almost built for something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
And so we're like, okay, well, we've rescued this pallet, but if you've got thoughts about it, I'd love to know what if you're a pallet enthusiast, I want to know your feelings about the 2-inch strip pallet versus the 3.5.
I'd like to see like a YouTuber who's like a pallet sommelier, and he's like, this pallet is made of an inferior wood, and therefore I would never recommend this to my clients.
Yeah, I mean,
Trust me.
they're out there.
They're out there. You get pallet gardens, pallet fences, pallet.
I saw a pallet spice rack, Alan. That would be right up your.
Oh, yeah.
right
I
up
mean,
your
you said
alley.
you saw these like college age girls one time at your house, like pulling up to get the pallet to like make a shelf. So there's lots of possibilities.
Yeah, I was impressed because there was the last few times we got rid of some pallets, there was a lot of young people picking them up, and I asked them because I saw them pick, and I have actually helped them put it in the car, and I asked her, I said, well, what are you making out of this? And I think she talked about like some kind of bed or like a day bed or something for their dorm room. I'm like, okay, well, it's got young people working with tools, so I'm all about that.
About 6 cinder blocks and 3 pallets. You automatic in a
You're in
futon
business.
cushion.
Oh yeah,
you have furniture.
And Alan, you bring up the idea of like the material, it being a good material and everything. Well, different pallets might be diamonds in the rough because you just never know what sort of wood it's made out of. And Robbie even texted it in saying, depending on the grade, there can be some really nice rough cut lumber, such as quarter sawn oak, hickory, and even walnut.
he's got that. Yeah, that's the thing.
That is very true because I have mastered the art of what you would call nail snipping.
Oh yeah,
And
Get
that's
rid
where
of the
you get
nails
a
in
nice thin reciprocating blade, and you just run between the boards,
there. Right.
and just snip, 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 snip.
Oh, yeah.
And now you've without damaging anything too badly, you've now gotten rid of the nails, and you are now blessed with a variety of boards, 2x4s, and other such.
Yeah. No, it's great. And then the thing that's great about pallets is you don't have to baby them. And they are strong too.
Yeah.
I don't know who designed the pallet. I don't know who came. I mean, I know they're designed so forklifts can get underneath them and everything, but I don't know, man. But I found the whole situation very interesting because, I mean, that's firsthand experience with people's attitudes on pallets. I mean,
Oh yes, pallet snobbery is wonderful. I've even built some of. It's about 3 or 4 years ago. I ended up building like a pea garden for people like grow English peas on out of pallets.
Okay. Do they need vines?
They
or
were
something?
they were really wide slats. It was like a 2-inch slat with like a 4-inch gap.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the guys that was standing there with goes, "Do you think you could like mount that so my vines could grow up on it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you got a couple landscape timbers. We can mount anything."
Oh, yeah.
According to him, it grew fabulous.
Yeah.
Garden toys.
Okay. Well, there you go. So pallet tales. So, but and like we said, we've posted a great website that's got I think like 50 different pallet hacks,
we
and they're
need
really
pictures.
good. So if you've got pallet stories, get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989, and you can send pictures. So,
Oh, yeah.
all right, Alan, let's shift gears here. We're going a little bit out of order, but so what?
Eh.
That's our thing. So, Max, are you okay? There we go. Finally, I've been waiting for him to hit the button. So
It's still World Turtle Day in my mind.
I think he does that on purpose. So, all right, Alan. The good thing is we can. I forgot. I did fail to mention that if you want to go and watch the show, where the cameras are on, I think they're going to pretty much be on from here on out. Alan, that's
kind of
the way
afraid
it's
so.
going to be.
Yeah.
But go to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and then you can watch the show. And I'm holding this up to the camera right now, Alan. I'm holding up our must-have item of the week, and tell us what I'm holding
You
up.
have the mid-size or the Husky manual pipe wrench.
I forgot to mention that this is the small. This is actually probably even on the smaller side.
Yeah, that's that mid-size.
When I
Yes,
see that
they
wrench-
come a lot bigger.
When I see that wrench, I just think of like some old street toughs from back in the day. It's like, what do you want from us? What do you think you're doing in our tough?
Well, the pipe wrench, how much more primal and effective though? The thing it's what did you say? It's 3 pieces
It's
of metal.
3 chunks of metal.
And man, you could use it as a wrench. I've used it as a hammer. I've used it as a lever. I've used it to pry 2x4s loose. You can use it as a wrench. I mean, it's not great, but if you're in a pickle,
Fend off assailants.
yeah, fend off assailants. It's great, and I don't think you can carry it on an airplane. That's probably a little
No.
yeah. So, but Alan, a pipe wrench is just it's. I love the simplicity of it, but man, does it work!
Yes.
It literally does what it said. If you've got to grab a pipe,
You're going to grab and turn a pipe the way that they have cut the teeth.
yeah,
And the simple fact that you're just going to get a grip on it. And when you begin to torque around, that grip does not let go.
right.
And you'll move it. You'll absolutely move it. And I've seen pipe wrenches. I think the largest pipe wrench I've ever used was on a commercial install, and it was 4 feet long.
I've seen
And
those
weighed
crazy
about
ones.
60 pounds.
It's almost a two-person
It
operation
was
with you.
monstrous.
Yeah, yep. But what's the weirdest, or I should say, what's the most unorthodox thing you've ever done with a pipe
I
wrench?
use it to level commercial doors. I lay
right,
the
talk
pipe
to me.
wrench
Yeah.
on the ground, and because the handle is slightly tapered,
Right.
you can kind of position it right at the magic height,
Yep.
and you're not worried about crushing anything. It's just a chunk of metal, literally. And you just get the door kind of right, the perfect balance. You line up the hinge cuts, and somebody doesn't have to stand there and be the giant that can hold the door.
'Cause that's
while
all you
you're
need
trying
is
to
that
get
support. So
It works perfect.
It sounds like a strategy that you should teach to the police department if they ever need to knock down somebody's door.
well, I'm trying to think how you could use a pipe. No, I think they got better tools than that, Max.
Oh no, the door knocker is very efficient.
Yeah.
However, they also will go through sheetrock rather nicely.
I can't promise I
demo.
haven't used this as a hammer before.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
many times.
Yeah, because it's and one thing too. You told me about didn't you recover an old pipe wrench?
We're working on an old, basically an old farm area, and somebody kind of stubbed their toe on something. We thought it was like a stump. We looked over and was like, no, that's metal. So we ended up kind of digging down a little bit, and of course it's got a little hole in the end of it. So we
Right.
hooked a cable through it and snatched. This thing's about 3 feet long.
Oh, that's a big one. Holy
It was
smokes.
it was not one of the small ones. It was huge.
Wow.
And of course, it was all rusted up and everything. And honestly, we took a small pipe wrench, a Canon WD-40, sprayed the turnstile,
Right.
and worked it back and forth with the little pipe wrench. And about 15 minutes later, we had a dirty but working really big pipe wrench.
Now that's cool, man. So I mean, and then I'm sure you saved that because that's one of those.
We gave it to the landowner. We
Oh,
gave it
you
to the
did?
landowner.
Okay.
He was actually thrilled. He thought it was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen.
I mean, that's like Indiana Jones stuff. You find a
Oh,
buried
I
treasure.
love finding old tools.
Yep. Pretty cool, man. So yeah, the noble pipe wrench, I would say.
Would you mind if I do a little bit of an aside? Our Agent 732 gave us the inventor of the pallet.
Oh, I didn't know there was an
here
inventor.
we go.
Okay, talk to me.
Pallets were invented by a guy named Howard T. Hallowell in 1925, but he called them lift truck platforms. They did okay until World War II, when the Army suddenly had to ship tons of material and demand for pallets skyrocketed.
Really? That's all tying together. I had no idea that
Perfect.
pallets would tie into the Memorial Day stuff.
And World War II.
What was the inventor's name?
Howard T. Hallowell.
Huh. You know, you don't think of that like a big pallet invention, but I mean, they had to come up with something that was strong. Pallets are remarkably strong. I don't know where Agent 732 has a lot of time on their hands, his or her hands. So that's pretty well. Agent 732, you've come through for us again. That's pretty
Absolutely.
interesting. So it's all tying together, Alan. This is very interesting.
Or to quote the Joker, it's all part of the plan.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, pallets, pipe wrenches, it's all good stuff there. So, well, and we also want to remind you, if you're out there and you're a veteran and you've ever, or, if you've been in the service, maybe you're in the service now and you've had any interesting construction projects, I'd be really curious about that. Cause I've heard stories, Alan, they're out in the middle of nowhere and suddenly the such and such breaks down, or they have to build a makeshift bridge or whatever. So I mean, that you have to be very resourceful. So I think that'll be an interesting discussion. You can get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check us out over there. And also, we want to remind you, get over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show, Alan. So, real quick, before we hit the break, can you remind us, if they missed the show, how they can listen?
The best way in the world is just go to tooltalkradio.com
Okay.
and keep up with us on both YouTube and Spotify.
Well, there you go. So, all right, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
One of these days, you're going to get yourself killed, you know that, and I won't be... Ah!
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Just another good use for a pipe wrench, Alan. I'll tell you that. They did know how to multitask, those Three Stooges. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. Coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios, I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go over to two different Facebook pages, Alan. They of course, need to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like and check out the different posts that we've made this morning. Also, if you want to watch the show, if that's your thing, go over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and the cameras are on, and you can see you can see Alan and me and a little bit of the studio, and not Max, who conveniently always turns his camera off. He's, as we say, he's more or less the Wilson of this show.
He's smarter than we are.
Although, no, actually, you said Agent 732 is the whatever. He's a man of mystery. He doesn't like to be on camera, so that's as his wont. So, hey, Alan, in a minute, boy, this is going to be fun. We're going to get to our historically terrible discussion, which is early 20th century playground equipment. How did any of our grandparents make it this far?
How did we make it this far? I don't
I'm
know
just
about
reminded
you,
of the
but,
Barry Manilow song. Looks like we made it.
Man, I'm sitting there flipping through the, classic playground equipment list over here, and I'm going, did that,
Yeah.
did that,
Yeah.
did that, did that. Oh, yeah.
Made our own version of that. Made our own.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we used to make, bike ramps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, bicycles and
Yeah.
weren't exactly the safest things in the world. They didn't
Right.
have, they didn't have shock absorbers, and, that seat would do something truly horrible to you if you came down too hard.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna get to that momentarily. I forgot to mention something, Alan, because we have a new. One thing I will say for Alan, he's a swag man. You'll put your label on anything, man. So you know.
Duh.
But Alan, that's to the benefit of our listeners because we've discovered that apparently some people play Tool Talk Radio at their place of business. We've had friends go into gas stations or go into other places and they actually have the show on, which we always appreciate. So if you're a place of business and you like to play Tool Talk Radio, and that's the message you want to send to your customers. Is that wise, Alan?
Yes.
Get in touch with us because Alan wants to drop by and give you some swag. You get
Indeed,
the
I do.
Tool Talk Radio swag pack. So get in touch with us. I don't know. What do you think? What's the best? How do you want me to contact you?
Just hit your number. That'd be the best way.
Okay, so 901-921-7105. Or if you can't remember that because you're driving, go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page or send us a message. We're not hard to find, tooltalkradio.com.
Yeah, we're pretty easy to find.
Okay. You know who else is easy to find, Alan? Our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration.
It's
one of our smoother
busy
transactions.
Man, he's a busy man right now.
Is he? We always say that he's busy every day of the year. So I don't know why we're always surprised. So although today, I don't know, he could almost take a break. It is perfect today.
Yeah, today is
Larry, you should go
outside.
fishing and just ignore your customers. So no, don't do that. If you've got any HVAC needs, if it's not just about getting cold or warm air coming out of your system. It's about clean air. It's about hydrated air, right? Am I correct in saying it that way?
That is a really good way of phrasing it.
Yeah.
People don't really get the fact that humidity is a huge factor.
Absolutely.
In how your air conditioner works, or the sheer volume of water that an air conditioner removes from your house every day.
Oh yeah, especially here in the Mid-South. I mean, it's stunning. He said, what is it, like 40 gallons a day?
Somewhere
from
between 40 and 50 gallons of water a day.
That's just insane. Now imagine if you are not removing that water from your house. That's why we talk about air conditioning and air control. So the air conditioning unit is the HVAC unit in your home is really just about the most important. That I can't think of any more precisely calibrated instrument that you have in the house.
It is definitely the most complicated.
It is something that you need, you need to stay on top of. You need regular maintenance. You need regular tune-ups just to make sure it's running at peak efficiency. It's just a good idea to have a relationship with your HVAC company, so you want the best. And, of course, the best here is Brown Refrigeration. They also deal with the Remy Halo system, which is revolutionary technology that is it's much more affordable than you think as well. It's cleaning particulates. It's taking that air, it's cleaning the air, and then it actually cleans every surface it hits, which
Yes, it does.
just blows my mind. So great people over there, great customer service. They've been around forever, and they're not going anywhere. So get in touch. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to their very easy-to-remember website, brownref.com, and also drop by their Facebook page. They actually have a pretty active Facebook page. So, all right, Max, I've been waiting for this all day.
Oh, my.
This armor's useless. Why do we even wear it?
Oh, you stink!
This is the worst.
All right, Alan, I'm making a caveat here. Historically Terrible is turning into one of my favorite segments. And, of course, if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, Historically Terrible is just like the name sounds. It could be any point in history. We've discussed ancient Roman toilets. We've discussed 1970s shag carpeting.
We've discussed mostly the 70s.
The 70s, it's hard to not hit the 70s hard. But
It's like New Jersey, the butt of every joke.
Yeah. But, Alan, at the same time, this playground equipment, we're talking early 20th century playground equipment. When you look at the children that played on this and what they grew up to accomplish, I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something here. But I got to be honest, I don't think I would let my kids play on that. I guess we're just babies these days, but we found some good stuff. If you go to our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, I posted a great picture, but it is not hard to find old, dangerous playground equipment. And, of course, this is a perfect time for you to weigh in if you've got any stories of dangerous
Oh,
time.
yeah,
Maybe
please.
maybe you broke your elbow on a playground or something. But
I mean, there's literally a picture that I saw of like these people, these girls from like a girls' school going up this ladder thing that looked like something you do in boot camp. So hey, they are training the next generation
they
of
are
soldiers.
in long dresses too. Yeah. So I mean, but let's start with the simple fact is some of these things were just really high. Alan, I posted a picture. There's a kid sitting up free. There's nothing underneath him except probably grass. And he is a good 20 feet up in the air, just sitting on this pole that
Yep.
you could easily slip off. There's ladders where kids are climbing up there. I mean, okay, what? Well, let's roundtable it. But you know, we've got, and I know we've got our own stories that we'll swap because you and I were on the tail end of this stuff. So.
Oh, we had them.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's start with this one. There's one I found called the Barrel of Fun. Now this thing looks very harmless, I'll be honest, until you start considering how a kid would use it. If you can picture a barrel about 4 feet off the ground,
Right.
and it's the size of a pretty big barrel, and the goal was you stand on this barrel and you spin around or you roll across it on your stomach or whatever, and apparently this thing more or less, this is from 1929. This thing had to be banished after kids started. It got pretty dangerous. So, you know. Well,
I wanted to let everybody know we actually got a call in from our program director, Ditch. I'm not sure what this guy's up to.
Okay,
but
Ditch.
let's get him on the line.
Ditch, let's hear it, man. How's it going, Ditch?
Hey, fellas. Thanks for letting me jump in on Tool Talk Radio this morning.
Absolutely.
You guys are, talking about pallets and stuff. No, it's you can do amazing things with pallets. But I just wanted to real quick, and thank you for giving me a couple of minutes because I'm at National Cemetery today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For the presentation, they're flagging every one of these headstones, and I did not know this. Alan is a historian. He may know that this is the largest or second largest, I believe, national cemetery with the most unknown soldiers buried here in Memphis off of Jackson. And this event with the Cub Scouts is primarily what they do is they are the ones who place a flag at every one of these tombstones every Memorial Day. And this started 40 years ago, and it has now grown into a huge event. A lot of people, bagpipers, there's a parade that goes through the cemetery. It starts at 9, and I just it's an incredible event. And today the weather is just perfect for this, of course. But I just wanted to jump on real quick and just let everybody know that this is going on, and you are welcome all weekend, of course, to come to National Cemetery, and then, of course, on Forest Hill Irene, West Tennessee Veterans Cemetery as well. It's a perfect weekend for this. But there's a lot of history with this cemetery. There's no more room, and the Sultana was, I did not know this, but the explosion on the Sultana was the largest maritime disaster until the Titanic sank. And most or a good number of soldiers that were on the Sultana when that explosion happened are here.
Oh, wow.
Along with all the others. Yeah, there's a lot of incredible history here. And the Sultana was, the explosion on the steamboat ship in 1865 were buried here. And many of them, they tell me, are unknown. And this is one of I think the second largest cemetery with the amount of unknown soldiers buried here. So it's a weekend to remember, of course, and this is one of the events that's going on. So I just wanted to jump on and remind everybody. So I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, Ditch, can you tell us where the Jackson the Jackson Cemetery is? I can't say I've been to that one. I know the Forest Hill.
It's right off of Jackson Avenue, not more than a mile off of 40 and Jackson Avenue.
Mm-hmm. It's right in the middle of the Nutbush
south.
neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, it's south, and that's a good point, Alan. This cemetery was purchased actually by soldiers. The property was, and since of course it began, I'm just learning this history today, talking to a couple of men. It's been surrounded by homes now, so there's nowhere to go. So as far as that's why they're out of space. but it is one of 300 and I think 85 national cemeteries. The West Tennessee Cemetery is a state cemetery.
On Forest Hill, Irene.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place. I used to take my kids there when they were little, and just kind of, it's pretty moving when you really start walking around and looking at the headstones and realizing the age of some of these soldiers and everything. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. It is. It's incredible to walk through here, and I think, Joe, it's worth bringing your kids to, because the stories have got to continue to be told to the generations, and a lot of a good way to continue the storytelling is to bring your child or your kid, teenager, however old, to a national cemetery.
Yep, absolutely.
And we're lucky in Memphis that we have one of these here. So I just wanted to jump on real quick. I appreciate the time.
Hey, Alan,
just
had
let
something.
them know that you're on over 40 acres of ground over there, and talking about the flag ceremony, I've attended that in the past, and that particular cemetery has over 42,000 internments.
Wow.
Yep.
To give you the scale and the size of this, and is widely regarded as one of the best kept cemeteries in the country.
All right, I have to get over there. Yeah.
It is. And I'll just tell you, as I walk through the grounds here, that you cannot help but to just get a chill about you in a patriotic way, in just a very humble way. It's really humbling.
Mm-hmm. You know what else?
When you see it.
Ditch, also, as long as we're discussing this, I want to, if you're sort of new to Memphis, or maybe you've just never been over there, Overton Park has a great memorial for, I believe that it's all the different wars our Tennesseans have been involved in, and that there's some really great. It's a good weekend to take a visit over there as well. So
yeah, that's a great Veterans Memorial there as well, and they have a new Gold Star family memorial built actually right outside the fountains on Tiger Lane, as part of the, that stadium is called Liberty Stadium for a reason. And Gold Star families, just this year, they finished that memorial. So, but anyway, I just wanted to jump on real quick. They're about to start the ceremony. They're going to, there's bagpipers, a 21 gun salute. It's going to be incredible. So,
all right. So, get in your car, get on over to the Jackson, cemetery, and keep listening to Tool Talk until you get there. Is that the advice?
Yeah, that's it. And also, I will put some of the parade with the bagpipers and stuff and the 21 gun salute and those things. I'll Facebook Live it. I won't do the entire thing, because I know you guys are also on our social media doing with the cameras today. So and I'll post up some pictures. It's just important. It's an important day. It's an important weekend.
Absolutely.
Yes,
well,
sir,
Ditch, you rock, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you.
Thanks, guys.
Glad you chimed in on that. So, all right. Talk to you later, boss.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest, Alan. I haven't been to that one. I'm newer to. I'm not newer, but I'm not as familiar with all of our landmarks out here. But I've been to the Forest Hill Irene one many times. But
the one down in Nutbush is just stunning.
Yeah.
It is a true military national cemetery. It is the white tombstones, and you don't really get the magnitude of it until you begin walking it and realize it's not 1,000 people. It's not 10,000 people. It's not 20,000 people. If you can, I know. As the numbers start growing and your mind starts grabbing the overall magnitude of this place. It is over 42,000 internments at this particular cemetery.
Yeah. I mean, think of the Liberty Bowl and think of going to and how many people that place can hold, and just imagine that being spread out across how many acres and all that. So, that's
the Sultana, just to add a moment to that, the Sultana was a steamboat taking people back north at the end of the Civil War.
Right.
And had a boiler explosion just around the bend right north of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of local legends connected with that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, Alan. Well, I'm glad Ditch chimed in on that because I didn't know about that event today. So I'd like
It's
to, yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
I would encourage everybody to get over there. Hopefully the rain will hold off. I don't know whether it's going to rain or not today.
We're going to hope not, but it's beautiful outside. The temperature couldn't be better.
Okay, so before it's called though, we're in the middle of our historically terrible discussion.
We were talking about training future soldiers.
Well, that's the thing, Alan. It's like, okay, so our ancestors, or our great grandparents and our grandparents, and we ourselves, Alan. Max, your generation missed out on this type of thing.
I feel soft. I feel like I need a little bit more damage.
But we played on some really dangerous playground equipment, and so did our grandparents. I don't know how many injuries and whatever came about with this, but I still wanted to swap some stories about this, Alan. I remember the one thing I remember as a kid too are these in the summertime. These big 20-foot slides.
Oh, here we go. We got
otherwise known as the flesh peeler. Do you remember those, Alan?
Gosh. Yeah. I'm from South Texas, guy. You're from Chicago. You were a coddled baby. Okay, you did not live until you went down one of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Robbie even texted in a little earlier, said, let me just say, you never want to go down the 15-foot metal slide or inch metal slide on your bare belly in the middle of the summer. Trust me.
Yeah, even I knew that one. So yeah,
you walked out there and you went. Somebody cooking breakfast, or are people going down the slide with their pants rolled up?
Right.
Oh my gosh, the beaten metal slide. All right. Well, one, if the sun caught it just right, you could set the neighborhood on fire. Because keep in mind, it's
that
pounded
reflection
sheet
too.
metal
Right.
with this big wrap, and periodically of the reflection of the sun, especially if it had just rained or something, you could actually get a pretty good pinpoint of sunlight off of that thing.
You know what else is fun about that stuff? Those things rust.
Oh.
And they
my
weaken the
gosh.
metal, and they create shards of sharp metal. You remember sliding down the slide, and your
my
shirt
gosh.
catches the side and rips off, or your hand.
Oh my gosh! and I just remember, I've got a picture online of somebody had taken a picture from the top of one of these things looking down, and you get. And when you're an adult, it doesn't look that bad.
Right.
But you got to remember, you were 3 foot tall when you were sliding down this thing? This thing was monstrous.
Right.
It was 12 feet in the air. You could easily sail off the edge. And those safety rungs were welded on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if you really did it right, you could hit every single one of them on the way down. you sounded like a musical instrument being tuned.
Oh, yeah. Alan, I want to share one. There was one that got pretty much, I don't know what happened to this because I never saw this, but it was called the Mead-Art Ocean Wave Spinning toy. I guess
Yes.
And it comes with undulating wave-like motion.
Yeah.
So if you can picture almost like a parasol, but it's imagine like an umbrella frame that's triangle shaped that spins, and you could be up on top of this thing a good 15 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And you hold on for dear life as the big kids spin it waves.
Yeah. Well, you had your basic merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Which was just basically how you learned how centrifugal force and tangents worked.
Oh, yeah. You
Because
learned about G-force.
12 kids got in the middle and 9 kids got on the outside, and you spun it till the last one came flying off.
Right.
Right. So the merry-go-round, and then you had the Coney Island version, which kind of went over rollers. So as if being flung off of this thing at 40 miles an hour through metal bars wasn't enough fun.
Right.
We could add the bucking action of a Bronco or an Ocean,
The
whichever
wave-like
you wanted
motion.
to blow it. Yeah. We could add this sudden rise and fall to your flinging off the merry-go-round.
There was a great description here on the website that I saw, Alan. It said you could sit facing in or out, or you could stand, and it was your choice depending on which way you wanted to throw up, either on the bystanders or on the people on the ride with you.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's that undulating thing that would, and don't forget that would make you dizzy and disoriented. And you probably are loaded up on.
And you're the one worried about ruining people's breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the best part is when you got off, you could always tell the kids have been on it.
Oh, yeah.
because they walked
They're
at a
staggering.
tangent. They walked
Oh
sideways.
yeah. Yeah.
Can't forget the giant seesaws.
Oh,
The
I got
world's
a
greatest
seesaw
way
stuff. Yeah.
to kill somebody.
When that idiot, you're
jumped
up
off
10
and
feet in the
slammed
air
into
and
the
he
ground,
jumps off.
yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I remember the seesaw. I was around just enough to remember the seesaw.
You weren't on a. You were
There
never
are
on a 10-foot
few of
seesaw,
them.
Max. The one you're literally 10 feet in the air
Yes.
while the other guys.
Yeah,
you know.
the giant seesaw was the jerk seesaw because and plus you also discovered the power of a fulcrum and weight.
See, you're
Well,
teaching
you're
kids
learning-
physics the right way.
I was going to say you're learning a lot of survival skills,
Yeah,
science,
you're learning
physics.
You're learning to jump first. Is what you're learning.
But Alan, we were really focusing on these early 20th century playground things, which really almost look almost deadly.
Oh, yeah.
But then, as Robbie pointed out, this generation went on to build the Empire State Building, and of course they fought World War II. They so the kids somehow managed to survive. But it's like, boy, if you wanna just get a new perspective on life, go watch like an old Little Rascals show or something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
see what kids did back in the day.
I mean, they put kids in bird cages. They glued them to the ground.
Well, we've got to mention what would be the maypole or the giant stride.
Oh yeah,
Which was a spinning disc 20 feet in the air on top of a telephone pole with ropes and handles dangling from it.
right.
And you and 2 or 3 friends got hold of this thing and started running until you were literally being flung into the air, holding on to the onto the rope.
Yeah, and it was great until people started making them by hand, and they started.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we may tie up a few loose ends on this one, but
Literally.
it's real good stuff. Well, Alan, hour 1 of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but never fear, folks. We're coming back with hour 2, and among them is our great moments in building history.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
And welcome to hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Or you can go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the action over there. I should say and you can go over there, Alan. We've made about 4 posts this morning that are getting an interesting reaction. And also, if you want to watch the show when it's, the cameras are a little flaky this morning, Alan. They're going on and off. I think mine's currently off, Max. I don't know, but
It's acting flaky.
okay. But you can watch Alan, and anyway, it'll
Or
come
not
on in a minute.
Alan.
Yeah, go to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and check it out over there. That's always fun. Well, Alan, before the break, if you're just tuning in, among other, we've had quite a wide variety of discussions.
We have.
It's Memorial Day weekend, and Ditch, our program director, called in and told us about a great event going on right now over at the Jackson Cemetery.
National Cemetery, yes.
Jackson Street National Cemetery. Going on at night, it's basically starting right now, and it'll be going on all weekend.
Yes.
But very solemn, nice, good event to take your family and your kids to check out and pay your respects to our veterans. So, and also it's a good weekend to go over to the Forest Hill Irene Cemetery, and also go over to Overton Square or Overton Park and check out the memorial over there. So, well, Alan, in that vein, later in the show, we're going to, in our great moments in building history, we're going to discuss the World War II memorial in Washington, D.C., which is it's not only a great tribute, it's also an interesting construction. There's some features there that we want to unpack. Before the break, though, Alan, we were discussing in our historically terrible segment, early 20th century playground equipment, which has also spilled over to stuff you and I played on when we were little, and it's triggered different reactions from the listeners. So we're gonna continue that for a little bit, Alan. Max, you said
flashbacks.
You said somebody texted in. I don't know if this is technically playground equipment, but I think it's in the ballpark. So
It's just a random texter, lawn darts.
Lawn dart. They didn't leave a
Yes.
name or
That-
anything.
No.
Fun with lawn darts, Alan. Do you remember those things?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was basically bocce for the Hunger Games.
Yeah. I
You know,
liked playing with
let's-
lawn darts. but
Let's take this giant metal spike and fling it into the air and see how it goes.
And, I can say you get hit on the top of the head with that or on the
Ow.
shoulder, it hurts. So,
Yeah.
Max, it's.
That makes me think of something from World War One. Before they had bombers or before they had bombs that they would toss, they would literally toss bombs by hand back in the day. One of the things that they would use is these dart-like things, and they would literally rain darts on the opponents from the sky.
Yep.
So
Same
you're pretty much
technology
doing
here.
that.
Yeah, pretty much. So lawn darts is a good one, dear texter. Whoever you should text your name in when you text us, though. So or call us. So hey, Alan, there was a few more we figured we better get to before we move on. Let me just throw one out there. I know if you're somebody that was a kid in the 70s, you've experienced this. You remember there was always that swing set that was not I guess if you really wanted to do it right, you either anchor it down kind of like a tent or you cement it in. There was always those swing sets that were more or less freestanding. And if you swung too high, it toppled over. My neighbor had one and he got really going on this thing and it fell, but also his momentum actually it almost slingshotted the top of the bar and hit him in the head.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing, but we've all seen that one, right?
Pain plus time and delivery equal comedy.
Right.
So, you look at these things and, I'm going to bring up for mine, I'm going to throw out, and let's just face it. How are we even still alive?
Yeah.
We used to, as kids, play in sandboxes.
Which looks an awful lot like a litter box to a feral cat. Am I right?
Oh, my. You didn't need the
Who
word
knows
feral.
what was in the...
Oh, we know what was in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with the ball pit, which was sort of like that, but it's like what sort of germs were burrowed in there? I mean, those were fun.
The ball
In my
pit-
defense, they were fun.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but I used to have to clean those out. And, dude, you do not want to know what we would find in a ball pit. That's all I got to say is,
I want to know what
How
did
many
you find in the
children?
ball pit?
everything from diapers to car keys. I am not kidding. You find a slice of pizza down there, find shoes, a lot of socks.
Yeah.
Somehow or another, socks went in, socks did not come out. So,
You ever lose any kids in there? I mean,
we did have to go fishing for one time that wouldn't get out of the ball pit.
I was gonna say because if you're some wise guy kid, you could breathe down there. So I mean, you hide yourself under the ball pit.
It tunneled in like a wombat. It was not coming out. And I had to wade in. It was like noodling for a child. You just feel it around. You finally got an appendage. You yanked it out of the thing and handed it to the parent.
And as usual, Agent 732 would like to interject with
Yeah.
more historical stuff.
Oh,
He was saying
please.
lawn darts were modeled after the Roman plumbata, a football-shaped piece of lead with a spike on the end. They were used in early Roman wars.
I was
Yes.
gonna say it sounds like a weapon, not a entertainment.
Like you said, Hunger Games.
Man,
Right.
in the 60s, we turned everything into a game.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, my gosh.
Very good, Agent 732. Well, let me throw one more thing out there. When you're talking about, because you're making me think of germs and everything. Well, Alan, when I was a kid, we lived in good old Glen Ellen, Illinois, which was, we had a train, the train system was pretty active out there. We had trains coming from Chicago and going to Chicago. And then in the center track, there was freight trains, and there was constantly trains all day long. Well, that was a great place for us to go play by the train track, Go figure. Well, right next to the train tracks by our house, there was this ravine that, for whatever reason, it just filled up with water one day.
Right.
And so I'm guessing it's probably like kind of swampy water or whatever. And somehow 4 telephone poles were laying in there. We don't know where they came from or why they were there, but those things floated magnificently. Well, our 10-year-old minds thought, wouldn't it be cool to get some rope and strap them together and make some telephone pole rafts, climb up there and have telephone pole raft battles in swamp water.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I fondly remember that. So, I mean, I don't know what we were thinking, Alan, but You got somebody on the line?
We got
next?
Keith on the line with more things about how he almost died.
All right, Keith,
Yes.
talk to us. I knew this would trigger
All right,
people.
so
so-
you were talking about some of the older toys. Well, this is ones that our uncles taught us how to make.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of a beer can cannon.
Oh yeah.
That sounds very familiar, Keith, but you better explain.
Oh man.
So all right, so it's the older beer cans, or you use soup cans, right?
Right. You got to be steel.
And basically,
Right.
what you're doing is you're cutting half of the top out and half the bottom of the can out to make chambers, and you do those opposite of each side as it goes through. So so you get about 6 or 7 of these cans together, and you just duct tape them together, right?
Yep.
The top
Alan's
one you
nodding,
cut the whole
yeah.
top off.
Yeah.
The top one you cut the whole top off, and then the bottom one you just take a can opener, the little triangle part of the can opener, and on the side of the can you just make a little triangle hole.
Yep.
Right? All right. So you take that, you take a tennis ball, and you take lighter fluid and you squirt in that little triangle hole.
Can we
and
get
then you
sued for
swing
this?
it around about 5 or 6 times, and it builds up vapors.
Yeah.
Right? And then you take the tennis ball and stick it in there, and you hold it with both hands and get somebody else to light it.
Yep.
And you could probably shoot a tennis ball about 100 yards.
Yeah.
All right, we neither endorse
All right,
nor condone this, but Keith, I can't say we didn't do things like that when we were little either, man.
Man,
All right,
I
now,
am
wait a minute.
taking the
Here's
fifth on this
the
one.
part where here's the part where we made it interesting.
Yeah.
We were doing
it
that,
wasn't interesting
and
enough.
it was starting to get dark, and so somebody had the idea to soak the tennis ball in
Yep.
lighter fluid.
Yep. Knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And then and so we shot it up in the air, right?
Yeah.
But the thing was, is we were all standing in a hayfield,
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew this
Yeah.
was going in a bad place. So, okay.
and so every time the ball came down and bounced, it started a fire.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
I like how he says every time. So you guys didn't learn from
Yeah.
the first
Oh no,
set
that
of
ball
arson.
bounced 5 or 6 times before it stopped rolling.
I hope we
Yeah.
can't get sued for
Yep.
any of this.
No,
Alan. I'm waiting
we
for
are
the
absolutely. This is why this was a bad idea in history.
Yeah, we are saying this is a bad idea, Keith. Although, I don't know. We survived it, and I don't know. But hey, this is what life was like before cell phones. We
Yeah.
weren't on our smartphones all day. We were out doing
destroying things,
doing
yeah.
things, and causing trouble. So,
Well, Keith, did you ever go on the swings when they had the themed swings?
yeah. What do you mean by theme swings, Alan?
That would be like they for a while in the 60s and 70s they were trying to dress up the swings with like merry-go-round animals.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
You'd have
yeah.
like the giant chicken or the horse or the hippo. So basically they
Yep.
gave you a 40-pound ram
Right.
to knock the other children over with as they got too close while you were
It
swinging
looks
back
like
and
the
forth.
battering ram from the third Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah.
With the You ever get on those, Keith, as a kid?
Yes, that and the merry-go-rounds.
See, the
Where you-
merry-go-rounds
you,
look harmless, but
Oh,
yeah.
the merry-go-round. All right. How fast do you think you ever got going?
Well, we had one of our uncles take his motorcycle and stick the tire up against the side of it to give it a boost. And I think we ended up flinging a kid out about 20 feet.
Jeez. Okay, Keith. I don't know, man. You are going to get us in trouble. So, Keith, you lived it and you survived it? No broken bones?
Yeah.
No
Nope.
brain damage?
We're not going to
Not that I know of.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, man. Keith, we appreciate you weighing in today, my friend. But I fear, Alan, we're treading too close to
we're
dangerous
walking up to that
lawsuit
edge.
material. So, hey, Keith, we appreciate it, man. And thanks for calling Tool Talk Radio.
All right, thank you.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, man. I don't know. That lighter fluid, the cannon stuff.
Oh,
Alan,
yeah. We used to. Oh, yeah.
We do not support that,
No,
Alan. Okay.
no.
Even though we're all kind of,
Yeah.
chuckling ourselves. But, Keith, but hey,
Hey,
you had to make your own fun back in the day.
I was a huge part of pumpkin junkin', and that is like, and I got news for you. That was as dumb as it came because, you got a 20-pound projectile, and, it's a pumpkin. It's
Right.
not soft.
No.
It's going to hit hard.
Okay.
And it is now like a huge competition now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have like whole, trebuchets and gas-powered guns.
And part of the fun is seeing how it explodes when it impacts on your target.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Or what it impacts on.
Right. Like your friend's head or something.
Welcome to a trebuchet and a target.
Alan, we got a lot. We can't make the whole show about as much as I'd like to, but I feel like maybe this could be an ongoing hey, if you want to weigh in.
So many terrible things we did
down the road. But you know who probably would never think of doing things like it? No, actually, he was probably in the thick of things when he was a kid.
He was the one. He was the one going, "Come here, I got a great idea."
Oh yeah, it's like, hey guys, watch this.
Oh yeah.
Is our good buddy Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Let's face it, Jay is an adventurous spirit. You have to be if you're a roofer. I mean,
you are.
But Jay is all about the exterior protection of your home from top to bottom. The roof, which is what is more important than the roof on your home. I mean, without a roof, you pretty much have nothing. The siding of your home, the gutter system, and the windows, and it all works when it's all working harmoniously. Your house is not only well protected, but it's also it's more enjoyable to live in it. You have the peace of mind. Alan, every few weeks or so, we're getting some weird storm, some weird rain, some whatever, and you want to know that your house can withstand that. I mean, we've lived the day. I remember living with a bad roof for many years before I met Jay Hill, and just the every time it would rain, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to find upstairs? What am I, so you definitely want the roof taken care of. For one thing, Jay he works exclusively with GAF, and we've always talked about what a revolutionary company, and they're always a state of the art. They are really about the best roofing company to get involved with.
They sell a lot of roofing material.
They create roofing systems, which are important because these roofing systems not only they just work better, but they also make your house they make your roof run cooler. Imagine an overheating car. It doesn't run as efficiently, and it's dangerous. Well, an overheating roof is the same thing. You want a roof that runs cool. And also, it's a lifetime transferable warranty when you get a GAF roofing system. Jay Hill, that's what he does. He's always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau and Good Housekeeping, and also the exterior, the siding, windows, and gutters. That's not a chuck in his truck job either.
No.
Those are all precisely, windows are. I mean, you can't just slap a window in, Alan.
No, it has to be done right.
It has to be installed correctly, and it also, these things involve warranties. So you want somebody that's qualified. You want somebody that, is going to be there for the long haul and you can call if there's a problem. The other great thing is if you maybe need to, I left out one of the big points, Alan. Jay is a former insurance agent.
He is indeed.
And so sometimes there are situations where you may have homeowners damage and it's covered by your homeowner's insurance, but that process is not easy. You really need an advocate, and Jay Hill is basically your free advocate. So call Jay. He will come out. He'll give you a consultation, and you will know whether you have a path forward with a homeowner's claim. Also, you may need to finance. Jay has great financing. He has 30 different lenders that he works with, and he can. You basically apply. It's about a 2-minute process. You get approved by however many approvals you get, and then you choose the terms that work best for you. So Jay Hill is just a great guy, very dynamic personality, and we can't recommend him highly enough. You can call Jay directly, and I always recommend calling him in the middle of the night. He likes that. No, he doesn't, Alan. Call him directly any time of the day, any day of the week at 901-484-5645, or go to his website, bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, Alan, we're changing things up a little because the nature of the calls and everything. So let's hit it, Max.
Oh, the humanity.
If you're new to Tool Talk Radio, that's the signal that we're about to discuss Alan's Week in Review.
That's the first time and the last time you've heard the show.
Yeah, after Max blows your eardrums out. But Alan, you work in a lot of different mediums, let's call it. You wear a lot of different hats, so it's always interesting to hear what you did in a particular week. And this one, you had a couple.
Yeah, I have a couple of ventures. One thing I've noticed in business is occasionally with no prompting on your end, a theme develops.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
And it's just the weirdest thing. It's just like you'll get 4 of the exact same call in one day.
There's got to be a cosmic reason for that, Alan, because I've had the same thing. I'm like, suddenly I haven't built I haven't built a chicken coop for somebody in 10 years. Suddenly 4 people in a row want a chicken coop.
I mean, they don't know each other. They're completely random.
So you experienced that this week.
Well, I had 2 facilities and 2 homes, and they're just like, we don't know what happened. The toilet just quit working.
Okay.
And you're like,
that could mean a lot of things.
Well, it does. And I'm kind of like, is it running? Is it doing this? And like, no, nothing happens. You move the handle and nothing.
Well, to me, that's okay. Go ahead. That could be the easiest problem of all.
Well,
right?
it is
like a broken chain or something.
Well, it's all right. Here's the weird part. It wasn't the chain, because you would think
that
the chain came
go-to.
off, right?
Right.
And just for a bizarre reason, I just kind of swung by the big box store and picked up 4 handles, complete with the handle and everything. And 2 of them were metal, 2 of them were plastic, and every single one of them had broken the handle off.
Okay, go
and
ahead.
I'm just
this is an interesting development.
I'm like, all right, in a 2-day period, I've done 4 service calls, and the actual handle off the little hand, on the inside of the toilet was broke off. And it's just kind of like, well,
on all 4 of these,
this is just a weird theme for the week. Very simple to replace. I mean, you just have to remember that the screw on the inside of the toilet is, not a righty-tighty. It's a lefty-tighty. So you've got to,
right.
It works backwards. And, it's a quick,
That's
easy
something
fix.
to pay attention to, too, because there are those random few that thread the opposite way.
But especially if it's a rotational motion. That way, hopefully, it'll constantly
it's tightening it as you use it. Right.
So, is this one of those weird, bizarre, it stood out because the handle doesn't really break off that often.
No.
The chain, the flapper needs to be changed, all that kind of stuff. But the handle?
Yeah, but you know what, Alan? Of all the problems, those are pretty easy ones. I mean,
it's amazingly simple, but I can imagine the homeowner's distress.
Simple for us, but if you don't know any better,
you just walk over and push the handle and nothing happens.
And Alan, I could still hear you saying you would never break the chain.
Whatever, man.
Well, the chain was perfectly fine, and even funnier, so was the little clip. Now that's what usually rusts out.
Yeah, those little
they
metal,
got the little bent, basically a paper clip, a little bent piece of metal that they use to clip it to. It was just one of those weird, bizarre themes.
The thing is, Alan, you're, this is one of the things we preach from the mountaintops. Every person in your house, I don't care if they're 4 years old, needs to know the functionality of a toilet because in a situation like that, in an emergency, let's suppose you got a flush. Instead of calling the plumber, there's a way to flush that you just reach in.
You can
and
pull the chain up, and the
you
flapper comes up.
And also they need to know what happens if the water starts running over on how to kill the water switch. And so it's very simple, but man, everybody, because it's funny what a toilet problem can cause. It could be a minor irritation that takes $5 to repair, or it could do thousands of dollars worth of damage
to your
if you
house.
just let it go.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting. So, but that was your week, huh?
Well, I'm gonna throw in the world's greatest toilet hack. If the toilet's overflowing, open the lid, grab the float, and pull it up.
Exactly.
And that'll stop the water.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
I think we'll wrap that up because this is an important topic. And then also we're going to get to our great moments in building history. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Okay, you know what? Shut up.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Man, Alan, if I had $1 for every time I heard that phrase. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And unless you're somebody that's going to get us sued, like our buddy Keith that called earlier, I don't know. If you're a lawyer and you want to, tell, boy, I don't know. You're sure we can't get sued for that? That's
well, we are telling you this was a bad idea. Don't
I guess
do
so.
it.
Okay, but you can get us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Check out the posts we've made over there. Pretty interesting ones, Alan. And also go to the News Talk 98.9, the Roar Facebook page, and you can watch the show and check it out over there as well and see what Alan and I look like. Although I have to say, my camera is very, very temperamental this morning. I don't know what's going on. Maybe
you.
Maybe Keith did something to the system, and it's, But, hey, Alan, in a minute, we're going to get to our great moments in building history. But you said something in our previous conversation that triggered something that I want to bring up. And this, it may sound very, I don't know what, maybe it sounds very thought-provoking or very, I don't know, philosophical. I'm not sure. But I'm going to call this the role of your subconscious in home improvement. And this doesn't just apply to home improvement. But you said something very innocent. You just said you were working on toilets this week, or you were working on something, and something basically told you to go pick up toilet handles. You didn't know that was the problem. You just bought some toilet handles, and it just turned out that you were, so here's what I was getting at. Have you ever experienced this? And if you're a contractor, or really if you're somebody that just is in tune with your inner self, I am just fascinated with our subconscious. I picture it as, we've got our mind, we've got our conscious mind, and then we have this subconscious part of our mind that is working 24 hours a day.
Right.
And have you ever felt this little, for some reason, there's just, you're in the big box store, or you're looking at something, or maybe you're getting ready to go to work that morning, and something is telling you, hey, don't forget that 3/4 inch socket wrench. And you're thinking, why do I need that? There's no purpose at all in the work I'm doing today. I'm painting a house. Why do I need this 3/4 inch socket wrench? And sure enough, later in the day, you need that precise tool, or you're at the big box store and you need something. I believe our subconscious works out all these factors in our mind, and it's much smarter than we are. Or so I don't know, but have you ever had a prompting where you just followed that prompting and you're like, wow, I'm glad I did, or you regret not following that prompting? Because I think it plays a big role. So
both. Working in life safety a lot. If you walk by, as we have a rule, if you see it, say it.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
In life safety, if you see it, say it. That is the rule. Because if you saw it, there's a reason it caught your eye.
Right.
There is a reason. Write it down. Tell somebody. Come back and look later. As for the premonition purchasing,
and that's a new name for my band, by the way. So yeah, premonition purchasing.
Premonition purchasing actually happened to me yesterday.
There we go.
Yesterday morning, on my way out to a job site, I realized that I no longer had, because I had lent it to somebody and it wandered off, a small socket set in my truck anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't had one in my truck for 90 days at least, but yesterday morning on my way out, I'm like, okay, let's just stop by and get one. So I swung by, got one, and 2 hours later on the job site, you hear the twing as the string comes out of the lawnmower, and I magically had a socket set to take the lawnmower apart, to put the string back in, to save the day.
There you go, man.
It was just one of those random,
I'm telling you,
just interesting timing kind of thing.
That happens a lot. And I've learned to pay attention to those, because I'm like, okay, well, what's the big deal? If I don't need this, I'll just return it, or I'll put it back in my garage or whatever. But it's something to pay attention to. And I think in your life in general, you get these promptings for a reason. And I think it's that little, I picture some little guy in there with a control at the control panel of your mind, and pushing, just like that movie Inside Out, Max. That's probably what you were going to say.
No,
right?
I was going to think of like the Daleks from Doctor Who. They're literally guys pushing buttons.
But I want to pay attention to that. So pay attention to your subconscious. So
Well, it's all about probability. And we may not consciously calculate things,
yeah,
but we're all pre-programmed.
right.
And I'm just used to having a socket set in the truck.
Yeah.
I've thought about it several times. And just this one time, it's kind of odd how it all lines up. You
Well,
wind up with a theme, and finally you kind of go, I got the extra 15 minutes. Let me pick that up.
Right.
And sure enough, 4 hours later, you're using it.
There you go, man. So, all right. Hey, Alan, I think that's worth mentioning. And if you've had an interesting experience with your subconscious, let us know at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. Hey, Alan, in a moment, we're going to get to our great moments in building history. But before we do, what have you been up to this week with darkoakmedia.com?
Well, I just got back from filming an entire season of AIM Country Star Spotlight. So that will be coming very, very soon to the Roku and AIM networks.
Right.
We've also been busy with people you might have met. So you can go to darkoakmedia.com, or you can pop into our Dark Oak Media site on YouTube. And you too can, those people you've met at a wedding.
Well, I was about to say,
those people you've met at the gas station, or the weird little stereotypes of people you bump into.
I was going to say,
Very
it sounded
funny.
like a stereotypical type of person.
Oh,
so-
it is hilarious.
Okay, and we've all seen
We've
those.
we've all either seen them or been them.
Now, Alan, do we define stereotype? I don't know. Are we stereotypical? I try
You and
not to
I?
be, but
No, dude,
we can't help it. But
we're
sometimes-
tool nerds.
Okay.
We really are.
All right, so darkoakmedia.com, absolutely. So, well, let me tell you what I've been up to, Alan. I've been, I'm out and about again. I'm, my long-standing customer Becky. I was there for the better part of last year.
Yes.
I've been there for a while. Well, that job's winding up, and so I'm looking at other projects right now.
Right.
And so, I will say, if you've got, it's interesting, getting back out there in the field like that. But if you've got a deck or a patio cover or a pergola or really anything, I'm really wanting some more interesting projects. Like, I would love to just build a wooden art piece out in your yard. Something that maybe doesn't even serve a purpose. Just
I'm waiting on you to get some more catios.
catios. I've got, well, actually, that's one in the pipeline. I've got a 12 cat catio coming.
Man, I am so down to help you with that.
So anything interesting made of wood for the outside or the inside, I'm whatever. I'll do both. So I love woodworking. It's something I've done for the last 30 years of my life. And the thing is, Alan, because I strategically keep my overhead low, people might be surprised. I usually underbid just about everybody, but the quality is all about, I'm all about top quality woodworking. So get in touch with me. You can call me directly at 901-921-7105 or go to my website, thorshomes.com. All right, Max, let's hit it, man.
And now, great moments in building history.
Well, I don't know how much more apropos we could be in this one. And Ditch, I hope you're listening. Well, no, he's probably not listening yet. He'll have to listen to the podcast later. But Alan, the World War II Museum, the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., what a cool memorial. And you and I remember when it was being built. Max, you were just a kid when this was being built, but it was kind of a long process. It took a little time to get it made. I think there was funding, there was all sorts of groups that had to come together, but there was a lot of private money raised to do this.
Yes.
And there was a little bit of a time crunch because now we're talking back in the 90s, and then finally in 2000 is when the ground was broken. But, the World War II generation was getting older, and they wanted to be able to commemorate this thing while there were still some soldiers around. So, but very interesting construction. So let's talk about it, my friend.
They actually managed to, it opened in April of 2004, and that was actually a whole month ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
So there.
When does that ever happen? With
I mean, you talk about some crews really getting into the hustle.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, first off, this thing is basically all granite.
Well, and what's cool is it comes from different parts of the country as well.
Right.
So, but it Georgia, and actually I think even one comes from Brazil, but it came from I want to say Georgia. Well, California. It came from several.
It was
parts of
Georgia,
the country.
I believe it was Georgia and South Carolina, and then green granite from Brazil.
Okay, gotcha. So, but what's interesting is this is on the plot. Now, I haven't been to Washington D.C. I do want to get there one day, for the history and everything and check this out. But Alan, this one, it's near a road, which creates its own challenges. But it's on a really beautiful. It's where any type of famous protest, I think it's not that far from where Martin Luther King spoke, right?
Yes.
And so there was a little bit of controversy. Do we put this here, or do we just leave it open? But I think the bigger thing was just the World War II is one of the most pivotal events in the 20th century, and it has to be commemorated, and it needs to be in a prominent spot. So, but one challenge they faced that this is something I found very interesting because it uses water technology in an interesting way. It's got a rainbow fountain, which I want to ask you about in just a minute. But the big challenge was you don't want to walk into this memorial, which is sort of a solemn type of surrounding, and hear a bunch of street traffic because it is near the road. So they had to use water. You call this the technology of white noise. They had to have enough sound to drown out the traffic, but also enough to create a pleasant ambiance so you can contemplate where you're at. And that didn't just happen. It took a lot of tweaking. They said at first it sort of was a terrible sound that it was making.
Well, all right, let's pick on Carnegie Hall for a second.
Okay.
Of course, Mr. Carnegie wanted to build the world's finest theater, and he brought in famous audiologists and sound experts so that if the hall was empty, you could walk to the back of the hall and say, in a normal speaking voice, hello, sir, to whoever was standing on the stage, and they could hear you.
Right.
So there's a lot of technology to this. So I say that to tell you what the opposite problem was here on the mall, because it's open to the world.
Right.
And there are certain tones, certain sounds, and we generally regard them as green noise and white noise.
Right.
And white noise is very soothing, water gurgling, water flowing, but
the babbling brook in the background.
Well, at a certain volume, it's also a noise canceling. So,
this is one of your frequency deals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you're sitting there enjoying the mall, your hearing is mostly occupied by the sound of the water. So the fact that there's a road within earshot,
right,
unless something really loud happens, the normal everyday traffic is being absorbed by the white noise of the fountain. And that took a lot of placement, the amount of water that they move, how the fountains react, how the water happens.
Right.
And so there's, people look at the fountain and they think it's really pretty. It's kind of big. It's circular. It's
sort of oval shape, actually.
Got a big center fountain in the middle. But then there are all the rainbows that pour into it. And this actually had to be tuned.
Sure. Water pressures, very precise.
Well, that makes a sound. You think of water coming out of a hose makes a sound. They actually audibly tuned this to provide the optimum experience.
Well, the other thing too, because I watched a video where they showed what it looks like underneath, and it's this advanced system of pipes and settings and everything. Because they have other times where they need to they want to increase the water pressure and shoot the fountain higher and everything. And it's called a rainbow fountain. And I wondered if it's because the little arch of water goes in a rainbow shape, or also because if you sprayed the water enough, the mist would create rainbows. Or
I'm going to say yes.
So it's both.
I'm going to say you get a little bit of both here. And the way the way the whole thing is laid out, you're really once you enter the complex, you've left the outside world behind.
Because it's sort of surrounded. It reminds me a little bit of walking into like an ancient Greek, I don't know, theater or something. Because the way they have the columns and stuff set up, they have all 50 states and territory, 56 columns, right, Max? Something like that.
57. I think it's it's 56
because they have territories and everything
because
as well.
District of Columbia, 7 federal territories, and at least 48 of the states.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the entryway. So what were you saying,
I was
Max?
just going to say, like you were saying, like Greco-Roman architecture. That's the thing I kind of like about this. It's just like, it's intriguing, but it's not like ostentatious like a cathedral, but it kind of makes a statement. Like it's very simple in its structure. But the thing that kind of spoke to me was like, yes, it has sort of simple structures. You have like prisms and pillars and stuff like that. But the thing that was intriguing to me was the fact that even though things look simple on the outside to the layman, the way that it was executed was actually really difficult to accomplish.
Right.
For example, there's these bronze ropes that run throughout the entire course of the 56 pillars. And that actually was a feat in and of itself that was difficult because you're trying to run bronze ropes through solid granite. And they actually had to like individually drill or specifically drill these granite pieces in order to accommodate for the rope. And so it's not all appearances can be deceiving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dropping in those, because they have, so on one end of the oval, you could say it says the Atlantic and then the Pacific Theater. So it was like, because we were fighting 2 wars at once. And surrounding that, each column represents one of the states. What's interesting is they lined them up in order of when the states became a state, basically.
Yes.
So they go in order. But that rope you're talking about, Max, that was to show the unity of the country against this in this conquest, you could say. And then also there's all these what do they call those, Alan? They're like a relief. Like it looks like a picture, but it's like a bronze
Bas relief.
Yeah, they have those lining the entryway as you come in. But I do like the minimalism of this, but with a lot of attention to detail. Because you walk in and, like you say, it seems just like basically an open space, but there's a ton of detail in this. So,
well, not only is there detail, but they also set up the sculptures. And like you said, this is very Greco-Roman design. It is very much an amphitheater. Of the one thing I found just, I guess, is the most humorous aspect of the entire memorial.
Right.
Was that in World War II, it was just a common everyday thing to draw a little character named Kilroy.
Oh, I was glad you mentioned
It's
that.
the little fingers and the nose
Kilroy
over the
was here.
wall. Kilroy was here.
Yeah.
There is one of those etched into the wall of the memorial.
Well, I learned something about Kilroy. Max, you remember that? You and I watched the same video, so.
And I'm also familiar with Mr. Roboto.
Tell us about Kilroy, because I didn't realize it was a real guy.
I believe Kilroy was like an inspection manager for all the war goods and everything. So it's like, before the items, like let's just say a B-17 bomber or like a Thompson machine gun was shipped off to like the front, Kilroy would give it his, once over and he'd be like, all right, Kilroy was here. That's his way of saying, all right, okie dokie, this stuff's all right.
Right. It's the guy with the the nose hanging over the side. But then again, the soldiers, I think I'm correct on this too, Max. The soldier, let's suppose they penetrated an enemy territory or something, or they just won a battle, they would leave Kilroy was here. That was sort of like, we just beat you. Wasn't that sort of a little gamesmanship there? Or something.
Well, yeah, it's just like, nah, we were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, you had to put a kill, but they didn't do it. It's tucked away kind of by the side, but if you look for it, you'll find it.
And I thought, for anybody that was in that theater, that had to bring a smile to their face as they walked around that little corner and went, oh, there he is.
Right. You had to sort of search for it. So, yeah, what was great is because like it was opened in 2004, so there were quite a number of World War II veterans that got to go check it out. But the thing is, what I liked about it, we were talking about those bronze reliefs. It wasn't. It basically, it was almost an even distribution. It was half. Representing what happened in the battles, but it also, the other half was what was happening back at home to help us win the effort. I mean, they were showing Rosie the Riveter and all
And it was also half Pacific and half Atlantic theater.
right. So, but I mean, this was a countrywide effort. So, and I mean, I never get political on the show, Alan, but there are some things where I'm like, you question, do we have to go to war over this or something? You didn't have a choice in World War II. I mean, what could we do? You had to stop Hitler. You had to stop that. So we all came together as a nation and as a world to beat him. And I love the notion that basically a bunch of American, French, English, a bunch of teenagers, more or less, defeated one of the most evil empires in the world. So this definitely needed to be commemorated. But Alan, this is also a stone structure, and that presents its own challenges because Washington gets extreme weather. This thing is as exposed as it could be, too.
Yes.
Well, there's things to think about with that, right? I mean,
Well, yeah. Well, one, if you go out there, it's not bricks. There are 17,000 fitted stones.
big stone. Yeah.
So think of this on the level of building a pyramid.
Yeah.
This wasn't showing up with some, we're not going to pour a concrete base and then put some tile over it.
Right.
This is actually big, huge blocks of granite. And what that did was it made a very durable, very long-lasting system because granite is an extremely stable stone.
Yeah.
So they chose well. It looks good, it wears well, and it also is some stones are better at being cared for than others.
What do you mean? But I think I know what you mean, but yeah.
Certain stones like marble really hold up well to being polished or cleaned and that type of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Whereas like a slate may not. It'll begin to crack and flake and the stuff like that.
Pretty soft too. It'll scratch. So
Right.
yeah.
So, you didn't want to use a slate or a sandstone. So we went with granite. We went with a hard to work with stone, but it is the key word. It is a hard stone. So this monument was built to last.
Yeah, I guess now Max is really making me think about that because those columns, this thing is, I think 7 or 9 acres or something like that. And drilling through that to get that rope through there in it, man.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of serious
And not
work.
only that, but it also has to complement the structures that it's around because it's sandwiched between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. So both of them are very Greco-Roman in design, and you want to try to make it look organic. It's like, I'm going to take an example of with Wrigley Field. If you add any additions, you still want to preserve the spirit of Wrigley Field. If you want to add this World War II memorial, you still want to preserve the spirit of the National Mall.
Right. Yeah, it has to be continuity. And it really ties in perfectly, actually. I mean, when you look at it. So I will give, sometimes Washington does things the right way. I'm not going to, but it looks cool. It's apparently very moving when you go there. And a lot of I think the true test is how many World War II veterans just really got, they put their money into this too. A lot of veterans, veterans groups, and they apparently were very pleased with it as far as I could tell. So,
well, they really poured a lot of time and effort into this. I mean, just the wreaths themselves were 2,500 kilos each.
Yeah. No
just
kidding.
kind of give you the magnitude of this place.
And it was designed by a single sculptor.
Yeah.
Yes.
We linked a great video to this if you want to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Pretty comprehensive. It's about 27 minutes long, and it really unpacks this really nicely, and you'll feel very, very patriotic after you watch it. So, well, Alan, it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure you're firing up the grill.
Oh, absolutely.
Take time to remember what the holiday's all about, too, folks. So, but Alan, it's time to get out of here. So another episode of Tool Talk Radio is in the can. On behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.